Welcome back to another Monster Hunter discussion video, Hunters. With Sunbreak Title Update 5, we finally get to see Amatsu's splendor in RE engine. Boy, I couldn't have asked for a better monster to be the endgame boss for Sunbreak. What is really endearing to me with Monster Hunter hunts are the gigantic monster fights, as I have mentioned in so many of my Monster Hunter discussion videos. That's why monsters like Dalamadur, Gogmazios, Darmiralis, and many other final bosses in Monster Hunter games are always one of the main highlights of Monster Hunter experience in my opinion. When base version world came, we barely had any of that. Then Shara Ishvalda, Kultaroth, Safijiva, Elatreon, and finally Fatalis came to Iceborne and bring those amazing boss fights experience from the older generation Monster Hunter. And I was really pleased that the developers didn't forget about designing unique gigantic boss fights when Iceborne came. And then base Monster Hunter Rise came. What really disappointed me with Rise were that the number of these fights were extremely few, and they lacked the final boss experience except the All-Mother Narwa and Gaze Magorm. Ibushi is kinda lacking. Well, how do you define a great final boss fight, you ask? Here's my list. Number 1, they have their own arena. Number 2, their design shocks you to the core for the first time when you fight them. Number 3, their hunt is not simple just by using your weapons, but also using the surrounding equipments like ballista, cannons, and many other tools provided to you in that arena. Number 4, the hunt consists of multiple phases where the attack patterns will change or more gimmicks is added in the later phase, which this feature is mostly added during Monster Hunter World. And number 5, a fight with a climax. In the older Monster Hunter, when we activate the Dragonator and it hits the target, that's when we know the fight has just reached its climax and you're on the last push on slaying this mighty beast. In case of Monster Hunter Rise, we get to Wyvern Ride once to deal a lot of damage and then get ready to slay the beast on its last leg. Just another way to really hype the final encounter with the final boss. Last but not least, they have some crazy supernova attacks that cannot be dodged easily. Now let's discuss about Amatsu. I have always wanted to have Amatsu back in the newer generation Monster Hunter, but his fight will be a bit slow and dull compared to newer generation Monster Hunter gameplay, which makes me curious on how they're going to redesign his fights overall. And then one of my viewers commented in my Title Update 5 prediction video saying that Amatsu is pretty much Ibushi, and it caused a bit of concern to me if Amatsu ever make his return, how his fight's gonna be redesigned now since Ibushi has taken the spot as quote-unquote Wind Dragon from Amatsu in this game. Will it be as plain as Ibushi, or will it be one of a kind experience like how it was with the boss monsters in Iceborne? But boy, I was wrong to be concerned. The developers do know what they are doing. His fight is so much better than Ibushi fight, and he has his own identity since not only his main gimmick is wind, but also water and lightning at the same time. Now, let's get to the main point of why Amatsu fight designs are really deserving as one of the final boss fights, just like how he was back in Monster Hunter 3 Portable. First, the pace of the fight was really spot on. We started really slow with us just hitting him, and he doesn't go that aggressive with his attacks. After bothering him for a bit, that's when he started to get ticked off and then his attacks gets more aggressive, and many of his attacks covers a wider area now, which makes it harder for us to find an opening for continuous attacks if we want to deal some good damage. It also requires you to know when you should use the ballista binder, so that the fight can go in your favor for a bit instead of Amatsu keep rampaging throughout the whole arena. And lastly, also to make use of the available cannon around you, if dealing damage via CQC proved to be difficult. This whole pace really fits with my criteria of a final boss, just like I mentioned previously. And then secondly, about Amatsu, the Supernova leaves a very long-lasting impression. What is even more amazing is that he has Supernova and Mini Supernova, because a good boss fight needs a good ultimate move. When he started doing his Supernova for the first time, I just stood there and watched as he flies to the sky and start dancing. The whole air turns into a tempest, and then the ground starts to conduct electricity. Now, that's a great Supernova. I don't think I will ever forget his Supernova in Monster Hunter Rise. I hope he will come back in the later games. Well, even though it's still loose compared to Safijipa Supernova, when the music just stops moments before the impact, or even Fatalis and Elatrions that signifies phase change when they do their Supernova. It is still a pretty darn good ultimate moves in my opinion. Even the mini version leaves a very good impression on me, since we were never thrown so high into the air and being in the middle of Cyclone, and the only way to dodge is to use the wire bug. I have played this game a lot, so my first instinct when this happens is just to wire fall it out. Not sure if other players can figure out what to do there and then when that happens. The third point is the conclusion of the fight. The fact that the monster that came through the turf war and then into the wyvern riding for us is freaking Zinogre. It is even the Thunderlord version, or in this game you call it Apex. My mind was blown when I saw that for the first time. Just for a bit of reference, for those who play the Monster Hunter 3rd Portable knows the decision of the developers why they brought Zinogre as the monsters here. It is because Zinogre as the flagship of 3rd Portable and Amatsu as its final boss has a deep rivalry due to the fact that Amatsu is a big threat around Yakumo, which is the origin place of Zinogre. And why this is so important, because this conclusion is kinda telling a mini story by itself. It is very epic in my opinion. And lastly, much like Latreon, they added some elements from older games, such as sound effects when you pick up items during the hunt. I thought I was imagining things, and the sound effects were always like this until I realized about it after the fight itself was concluded. And when the hunt was concluded, the victory theme is a song from Monster Hunter 3rd Portable as well. This whole fight is like a fan letter for the players who really love the old Monster Hunter games. So bringing back Amatsu to Rise was a godsend. Thank you so much, developers. You really know how to please us Monster Hunter fans. After putting so much thought into this fight, I can only say that moving forward with the Monster Hunter series, we can expect great things from their future games. With Rise initially, I was concerned that we're not getting that many gigantic monsters compared to Iceborns, since these gigantic monsters are some of the unique experiences that you can get from Monster Hunter games. And we need as many of that as possible, I believe. After seeing Amatsu, I can say with the confidence that the next Monster Hunter games will be able to feature more gigantic monsters, especially they already have their assets stored in RE Engine by now. And hopefully some of the faint favorites that still hasn't been brought to RE Engine, like Gogmazios, Dalamadur, Cantor, Canlos, and many other monsters can join Amatsu to the new generation treatment soon, hopefully in their next game. Let's hope we will hear something from the developers after the final update in June, possibly around the Summer Game Fest regarding the new game. Well, that is all of the rambling that I have after fighting Amatsu. What do you guys think about Amatsu overall? Any future expectations for the next Monster Hunter game? Leave all of that in the comment section below. Before I truly close the video, I do humbly request you to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, as it will help me so much in keep making video game content, especially discussion video just like this one, as it takes quite a bit of effort in making these kind of videos. I'm also currently working on Fatalis and Elatrian discussion video, so click the bell button as well to be notified when the video is uploaded. To the next video, stay sharp hunters.